white. And I'm so happy to have her. She such an ambitious young lady. I call you young. Everybody's young. um, who has been involved in media work. I don't know if I'm giving anything away, but is that something that, how long have you been interested in uh, doing something, and what, as far as media is concerned?
Actually, it called on me. My husband and I have been in the public eye for many years. We were some of the first couples to do some of the talk show circuit, news circuit in the 80s and 90s. And so we were all over the country speaking and doing news programs. I had no interest in being a producer, which is what I found out I am. I wanted to, we were traveling across the country and we were seeing producers interview us and tell us what they wanted the subject to be, how they wanted the subject to go. I'm going to do what God tells me to do, and not what somebody tries to tell me to do. So we were seeing things that were happening behind the scenes. And I've always been interested in the way people are behind the scenes, because they can put on a pretty face in front of the camera. And so, but then I didn't know that I was a producer, so I never really thought of anything about it. And then a person called on me. She saw that I had an eye for detecting certain things in the media, being the coordinator type of thing, interviewing people, hiring people to be actresses, writers, directors and things, for film directors. And so she said, "Did you know that you're a producer?" And I'm like, "No." She said, "Aren't you interested in the entertainment industry?" I said, "No." And so, but she said, "But you got an eye for it." I said, "But this is pretty fun, And so she asked me to be a coordinator for her in women in film and in Hollywood. And so I did that. And then Screen Actors Guild was getting ready to have me be a public speaker for them all over the country. I didn't get a chance to do that because my husband had a situation with his job as an educator. And my daughter had a lump in her breast, so I just put everything aside. And God brought it back.
And then you eventually came home. What would you call?
Yes.
You called Denver home?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Denver.
Okay. And how do you see the climate in Denver for doing some of the things that you thought possible in maybe in some other parts of the country?
Well, let me just say this. My partner and I started our network, the Bessenwood TV network, last year. And we are already over. We have so many programs that we have to put on our network. Now, we are what's called TV on demand. And that means that, when you watch a program, if you want to speed back and say, okay, Ruth was saying something, or Miss Lucy was saying something, but I didn't catch what she said, you can make that go back and see what's going on. Whereas broadcast or cable, they have a line of program time. So something's coming on at 11 o'clock, something's coming on at 11:30, something, whatever. Instead of that, you can look at whatever you want to as many times as you want to, and and get your programming the way you want it.
That's somewhat of a novel idea, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because I don't like really being hinged. I don't want to be rushing down to the TV studio because I've got to be on the air at a certain period of time, and if I don't get there in time, then there's dead air or something like that, and that can cause a problem.
And I often wonder, what happens to these people who are seen every day, no matter what the weather is? How do they get there from many times traveling quite a number of miles? It just seems to me that having programs in stock, I would say,
yes,
that you can focus in on. But then,
you want to know? You said you want to know how they get there, right? When it's snowy and when it's really well, they usually have a limousine pick them up.
Okay.
So that's usually what happens to your news reporters and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
especially
Well,
the national news.
I would imagine that there are some times when the road is impassable in some parts of the country at certain times. But anyway, they get there, or someone is there, I suspect, to take their place just in case.
Oh, sure.
But it's everything about the whole media business is so complicated and so diverse. What do you think is missing
Well,
as far as media is concerned?
well, for most media, I would say God, and that's one of the things that we're bringing back into media is being we're calling it the clean TV revolution. And it doesn't mean that people are preaching all the time. It just means that somebody may be doing a cooking program, but they're not cursing, or they're not trying to look up your dress, or they're not trying to all that kind of nonsense. And kids need to have that because we're bringing up a generation of kids that are cursing, that are profane. They're getting into sex at an early age.
And whose responsibility is it?
Parents, for one.
Okay.
And
how do you get to the parents?
Well, they watch TV too. And one of the things that you see, you do is you have to kind of get them prepared. Let them see something that's cool, something that they like, whether it's classic cars or whatever the case may be. And when they see something, they'll say, hey, I like the way that person carries themselves, or I like this situation right there. And they try to model themselves after that. And that's what we have to do in order to bring up a new generation of young people that have respect for themselves. They may not be a Christian, but they have at least respect for themselves, and they have character and stuff like that, and they have respect for someone. And they can say, Miss Lucy, would you like this seat? You know what I'm saying? Or something like that, instead of, thinking, well, you're an old woman, you can do it your own self, or whatever the case may be. That is the attitude that's out here. And when I see a young person that has respect for someone and they will say, ma'am, would you like a seat? Or something like that, it really warms my heart, because I'm like, okay, there's still time, and there's still
one.
Yeah.
There's still one.
And still one. And so that's what we're bringing back to television and media, music, clean music. There's a guy who's going to be on one of our programs that sounds just like John Denver. He's from Colorado, but he lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and we call him the new John Denver. But he's black. He plays the guitar and stuff like that. But he's just a wonderful person and character. So these are the kind of things that we're bringing.
I think it's so important to reach out, for the media to reach out to those that have something to say, who have ideas, who have integrity, instead of choosing those people who have the most visibility in the community, whether they have anything worthy to say or not. If they have, for some reason, been able to achieve visibility, a level of visibility that would make people stop and see. And that's what the advertisers want. And so how do you get around that? The advertisers are the ones that make the money flow. And if you are not attracting the people, enough people, the advertisers will go elsewhere.
Well, that's true, but see, for instance, we have a product, not only the television product, but we have an app. And I don't know if you on your cell phone, you can download it from Google Play. It's called the Bears and Lord TV app, and you can download that, and your kids can see programs on the go, and the advertisers can advertise. But the way that we have everything set up is your advertisements will go in the beginning before we start the program, or at the end after we finish the program. Because one of the things that I saw as being in the media and being a guest on a program or something like that is you're getting into a subject is important. They got to cut for commercial, and it's like, that is too important. By the time you get back from that 5-minute commercial and all the stuff that's there, you forgot what you had to say, or they had to go to something else. And then the other thing is they don't finish a topic. Oh, we having you on to talk about this. You got 7 minutes. Oh, we got to go now because we got to talk about another subject. What sense does that make?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Finish out what it is you're talking about so a person can finish out their thought. So that's the reason why we have what we have. I'm really honored and proud that God told me to do it because, you know, when I was a presidential candidate, I was traveling all over the country. And I saw people were like, I want to hear more what you have to say. How come CNN doesn't know? How come CNN doesn't have you on? How come this person doesn't have you on? I said, well, if they don't want to have you on, they're not going to have you on. If they feel you have an answer that they don't want anybody to have so they can keep everybody divided, they're not going to have a person like me on. And so that's how one of the things I started is the news, breaking news, 24/7 breaking news, so that I could bring people real news information that was happening. Then my partner came along. That was 2008. And then my partner came along last year, and she just happens to be a technical person. So she loves loading. She loves to be behind the scenes. I love being behind the scenes too, but I have to be in front of the cameras, and I don't really want to be in front of the cameras. I really wanted to be behind the scenes and stuff like that. But we have something coming up in February at the Denver Open Media, where with Comcast and CenturyLink, we're doing the Change for the Children 24-hour TV marathon, and that's together to get kids to be on the app. So that's going to allow us to reach a whole lot of people, not only our people that we reach through live streaming, but we'll be able to reach their people too, and we'll be live streaming the whole thing for 24 hours, having entertainment, having, you know, all kinds of things. Kids, we're going to find the kids that have been displaced in education.
24 hours?
24 hours long. It's going to be live. It's going to be on February 11th and 12th at Denver Open Media. We're starting at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to take one of your guys' plays, and we're going to put it on the program so that everybody can see that play, you know, Women of Virtue. And we're going to do a lot more things like that. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to be drawing in people that way. I'll tell you something else that we're doing. You know, my uncle owned the Climax.
Yes.
And so now it has gone into the hands of all of our family. And we're going to go ahead and what we're going to do is try to restore it and rename it after we get it out of the red. So all the things that I'm doing now is to help the family get the properties back, and also to do.
It sounds like you got your plate full and you know exactly where you're going.
Yes,
thank you so much for being here and sharing your ideas with us, and I wish you all of the success. I wish I was going to be around for the next 100
minute.
years.
Oh, I don't think it's going to take that long. You go down there.